Now, where am I going now? Hang on. So, of course, the reason that I came to do this video to talk about this case was because of the Madeline Soto case. So this is, they're very similar, aren't they? They're similar cases. This was a sort of granddad. This one I think is worse. The Tia Sharp one is worse because he had a relationship over years with Tia. She called him granddad. He built up that relationship with her over the years. I think that's worse, but they're both as bad as each other. Now, Madeline Soto, it's her stepfather. Though, say stepfather, they're not married. Her mother and Stephan Sterns, they're not married, but I think they were living together. So he's another one. So Madeline had just turned 13. She'd just had a birthday just a few days before. Is this like, when they have a birthday, do these twonks think, oh, well, they're a year older now. This is the time I should, make my move or whatever. Anyway, he has been arrested. The stepfather has been arrested. But I just wanted to show you, we talked about it the other day. Hi, Silver Soul. We talked about it the other day, and there's a couple of things that I want to show you. One is an interview with the mother that I thought I'd showed you, but when I look back at the video, I realised I hadn't shared it, where the mother is being interviewed by Fox News, and this guy, Stephan Sterns, comes very chillingly and sits behind her and he's cracking his knuckles, and it's awful, to see the threat there, while the mother just looks confused, doesn't know what's going on. Because, of course, there's all this talk that maybe the mother was involved because she said that both her and the stepfather had dropped Madeline off at school. We dropped her off at school, but how did they drop her off at school? Because he's murdered the girl. So I personally think the stepfather has made her say that, but that'll all come out in the wash. The mother has not been arrested, by the way. So we're going to look at that first.
Maddie?
Well, Monday morning, we took her to school. We dropped her off close to school, across the street from a church, which is it's right next to the school. She crossed the street and walked to school, what we thought walked to school. My boyfriend who drove her to school drove away at that point.
See, I just can't make my mind up about this mother. I do feel like, she looks like she's lying there because of the way she's looking up, thinking about it too much. But is she lying because she knew that he's done it, or is she lying because he's told her to lie? Now, watch this now. Any moment now, he comes in and sits behind very threateningly, I think.
Was seen on video footage that she hung out in the parking lot of the church for a few minutes and then got up and walked towards the school. But she never made it that walk and that was around 9 a.m. when she got up. She never made it to school after that. It's right next to the school. I don't know why she didn't make it. I don't know if something happened on her walk along the way or if she got taken.
So he's like sat there all threatening, isn't he? It's like he's listening, making sure she's giving the right story. So, I honestly don't think the mother knew what he'd done, although perhaps in her head she did. But he's said to her, to say that, whatever, and she's believed him for whatever reason. But of course, now that he's been arrested, I expect she is, telling the truth.
But she never made it.
And that was the last anyone seen of her or heard from her?
Yes. I went to pick her up after school, and she wasn't there.
He's cracking his knuckles in the background. He's sat there actually cracking his fist knuckles. And look, she's looking sort of to the side. Is that like a warning or something from him? Makes you wonder if there's domestic violence in this relationship, because the way he's sat there cracking his fist knuckles and she's looking to the side, probably because she can probably see him in her picture, you know. She looks terrified, I think, but, you know, I don't know. You know, what do you think? Do you think she was actually in on it? I don't think she was in on it. I think he's told her to lie for him, and she's been a fool and done it.
So I started driving around, maybe thinking she took a walk. Maybe she decided to walk to my mom's office, which is pretty close to the school as well. Drove around and I didn't see anything. I drove back to the school. The school was closed. I emailed one of her teachers. They confirmed that she was absent all day. At that point is when I called 911 because I realized something was truly wrong.
Have you heard from like any of her friends? Has she been active on any social media?
She hasn't been active on social media. None of her chats, none of her games. We did contact all her friends. None of them had seen her Monday or heard from her. Yeah, there's no update.
And I have to ask this, and I know I hate doing it, but is she the type that would run away? Has this happened in the past or anything? Has she ever threatened to run away?
Never. She's never ever mentioned anything like this before, and she's not the type to want to do this. She did accidentally leave her phone on Monday, which is kind of normal for her. She's got ADHD and very forgetful. So she left her phone at home, so there's no way to trace her. They tried tracing her school laptop, but that's off, so it's not pinging to anything.
Jen, what is your fear? I know you mentioned she's on games and stuff. Do you think she could have like met somebody and tried to meet up with them?
She's open to us. She's open with us about, you know, if she's got a crush with anyone, and she told us she had a crush on someone at school. And I looked at their messages. Nothing was weird. I looked at all of her messages, all of her deleted messages.
As she said, she told us that she had a crush on someone at school. Well, he wouldn't have liked that, would he? You know, he's got his eye on her himself, you know, and he wouldn't have liked that at all when she said she had a crush at someone. You know, that could have been the catalyst for it, because the thing is there'd be a catalyst for what's happened. There'd be an argument or something like these reports that he'd been abusing her already for a couple of years. So what led to sort of it actually, you know, turning into MURDER? There'd be a catalyst. Could be that, could it? Could it be that she said that she liked someone at school? He'd go mad, wouldn't he? He'd go mad. I think this is really weird how he sits in the background here. It's so creepy. You know, if you know that the mother, I mean, obviously we know now that he has had something to do with it, but why is he sat there right on camera? You know, it's like he wants to be on the camera. It's not, I mean, to be fair, he could have threatened her from the other side of the camera. He could have just sat there and been, so, you know, but the fact of him sitting there wanting to be on camera, it's really odd. Oh, and for those of you who don't know, he worked at Disney World. Bloody P, working at Disney World. Unfortunately, these people, child lovers, they gravitate towards jobs that bring them close to children. That's what they do.
Nothing seemed weird. It didn't seem like she was talking to anyone. So I don't feel like that's the case. I feel like she may have been taken, because this is not like her at all, to just disappear and not tell us, not let us know where she's going or who she's with. Yeah.
What are you getting from law enforcement? I mean, are they actively searching for her? I mean, what happens now? I mean, especially that she doesn't have her phone with her.
So as far as I know, they're conducting a search around the school. Behind the school, there's a Shingle Creek. There's a wooded path area that you could walk. It's a hiking path. They are going back there with their canine dogs. They've taken a piece of her clothing to see if they can trace her scent. They're also taking their own vehicles. I'm not sure what type of vehicles, but they're going into the woods to search for her. But I don't feel like that's going to find anything right now. We've had people all day on that trail sending us photos to see if anything there looks familiar and like her personal belongings, and nothing is hers. So I'm not sure where to go from here. I'm just contacting the news to get the word out, to get some help, because I'm desperate. I'm a wreck right now.
So you think that she's been taken against her will?
I do think so, yes.
As a mom, what's your mother's intuition telling you right now?
I'm trying to hope for the best, but
well, I wish her mother's intuition would have told her that this guy is a twonk, for God's sake. Do you think, I mean, maybe he's just really good at covering up. We're going to look at a video of his best friend talking about him in a moment. Maybe he is just good at covering it up, and maybe he could have fooled anyone. I don't know, because you think, like with Stuart Hazel, you think, how could they have thought he was a suitable person to have around Tia, to leave Tia on her own with him? How could they have thought that when they knew his background? But he's a drug dealer. He's been in and out of prison. He's had a machete. He's been charged with possession of a machete, threatening someone with a machete. And he was allowed around Tia. Not only around her, but to actually babysit for her, to have her around there on her own. Same with this guy. It's like, are they that clever, really, that you don't see it? It just makes you wonder. I think this mother seems, genuinely concerned. I do think that sometimes people, not only women, they just see what they want to see. And if they've decided that someone's a good person, they just can't see anything bad about them. They just can't admit it to themselves.
I'm scared for her. Oh. I want her to be okay, and I want her to be safe. I don't want her to come back harmed. I just want her back, whatever that means.
I want her back, whatever that means. I mean, look at him there, and all the time he's sat behind, knowing what he's done to her. He's probably reliving it in his mind right now as he's sat there like the fucking, sorry, excuse my French. He's sat there like the Grim Reaper, isn't he? Or some sort of, Nosferatu or something behind her, like so chillingly sort of threatening, while she's crying. And he knows exactly where Madeleine is and what's happened to her.
I want her back.
Are you getting any updates from law enforcement? I mean, yes, they're searching that small area, but have they gotten any hits on any scent or anything like that?
They haven't let me know anything. They haven't updated me since I spoke to them this morning. I've contacted them to get some information or to give them.
And not only that, he's got the brass neck to sit there on the camera. This is Fox News. He knows that, loads of people are going to be watching this. And he's sat there like, what is wrong with him? Bloody hell.
Them some leads, but I've heard nothing back.
And Jen, there's no way that she, just being, a teenager, was like, maybe had a fight with you or an argument with you and was like, you know what, I'm going to go hang out at so-and-so's house and teach her a lesson. Could that be a scenario?
I don't believe so. We actually haven't gotten into a fight.
Casually having a little drink, a sip of his tea or whatever, while she's crying on the camera to Fox News because her daughter's gone missing, and he knows exactly what's happened to her. Oh my God, this guy is chilling, absolutely chilling.
fight in like a few weeks or arguments or anything like that. If anything, on Sunday, she celebrated her 13th birthday with my entire family, and she had the best day. She was so happy. She showed us all her gifts. She's just a happy girl, and she showed it on Sunday night when she went to bed. She was so happy. So, you know, she had the best day. I just, you know, there was no moment in that evening from when she got home from the party that she had her phone or had the laptop. She went straight to getting ready and went to bed. So I know she didn't have any conversations with anyone. She didn't make plans with anyone. I didn't see any of that.
But she spent the whole Sunday celebrating her 13th birthday. Was her 13th birthday on that Sunday, or that was just like the time you guys were celebrating?
That was the time we were celebrating. Her birthday was on Thursday, the 22nd. She just turned 13.
But that's just so heartbreaking to be celebrating her 13th birthday, and then the very next day, that's gone. The last you've seen of her.
Yeah.
Look at him.
Where do you go now? Are you gonna?
God, I'm a bit speechless.
Gonna go out there and search or look, or what is are you sticking by the phone? Are you what are you doing?
I'm staying at home, staying by the phone, hoping she just appears. I know my entire family is out looking. They've all spread a bunch of flyers. I've had people contact me that they've gone to the international airport to spread flyers, to Amtrak, to Greyhound, just any way that if someone's taken her and they're trying to take her, just to show her face, just to make sure, she's not being taken against her will.
And you mentioned ADHD. Was there anything else maybe mentally going on, or that you knew of?
She does suffer from anxiety, and once upon a time she was diagnosed with autism. We had her
Brained, maybe?
Reevaluated.
Okay.
We had her reevaluated a few months ago, actually, and they told us no, she didn't have autism, but she did have some autistic traits. She did have ADHD, some autistic traits, but not autism. So I'm not sure where to leave with that, because one doctor said she did and one doctor saying she doesn't, and I don't know. She's just in the middle, I guess, because she does have some tendencies, but socially she's pretty great. So I'm not sure.
And with the video that you were able to see whenever your boyfriend dropped her off, where was that? Which video? Was that a surveillance camera?
It was a surveillance camera from the church, Peace Church, right next to Yeah,
I thought she said we dropped her off. Now it's saying when your boyfriend dropped her off. So there's a lot of inconsistencies, isn't there, in what she's saying? But it's just, I think the question is she sort of complicit, or is it, just because she's scared of him and that's what's got to come out? As far as I know, she's not been charged with anything yet.
Hunters Creek Middle School.
And do you have that video?
I don't have that. They didn't show me. They wouldn't show me. It was actually my sister was the one at location, and they were letting her know what they saw on camera.
Okay.
But they didn't show it to any of us.
Got it. Okay. Jen, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
Please, 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 if you have any information, contact me, contact law enforcement. Any information helps. Maddie, if you see this, please come home. Please be safe. I love you very much. If you have my Maddie, please just let her come home. We just want her home.
So, then, of course, very shortly afterwards, Maddie was her body was found. So, as far as I'm concerned, jury's out on the mother. I can't make my mind up whether I believe her or not, or, but it'll all come out in the wash, I suppose. Okay, now, we're going to look at the, somebody sent me, one of my subscribers sent me, thank you so much, a link to this video, which is very interesting. So this is another YouTube channel. What's it called? Sorry, what's Gray Hughes Investigates. I don't know this YouTube channel. I think I've subscribed. Oh no, I haven't yet. I meant to. Oh, I have. Have I? Have I subscribed? Yeah, I have subscribed. And it's a true crime YouTube channel. And while they were doing a phone-in, his ex-friend called in. So I hope you won't mind me using this. I mean, I'll put credit in the description box, using this as fair use. I'm going to use a little bit of it to show you what his friend had to say about him.
Stephan Michael Sterns, who is the boyfriend of Madeleine's mother. Now, during the show, we had live call-ins, and one of Stephan's ex-roommates and ex-friends called and described Stephan.
He looks a bit scary in that photo, doesn't he? You know, like, you know, we always say it's all in the eyes. The eyes are the windows to the soul. He looks a bit weirdy there, doesn't he? A bit scary. Well, he was scary when he stood behind the mother in the kitchen.
Stephan in some interesting details and different events that happened when he knew him. All right, so if you guys could hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And also during the video, if you think of anything, put your comment in the comment section. And if you like my content, consider subscribing to my channel. And if you do so, hit the subscribe button, then the notification bell, and all videos.
Yeah, so go over to his channel, give him a subscribe or a like. You know, I've to be honest, it's not. I have very little time to watch other YouTube channels. I have my favourites. I like That Chapter and I like Coffee House Crime, and they're really probably the only YouTube channels that I watch on a regular basis. I mean, I do dip in if something comes up. I like, because I watch a lot of the news channels, obviously, to get news and things, News Nation, etc. So sometimes I just haven't got time to, but I really appreciate it when people send me links that, you know, so that are in, what's the word, when they send me links that are sort of connected to cases that I'm covering. So I was very grateful to get this link, because I would never have found this channel.
And without further ado, as my mom would say, here is that call.
Yeah, I was that kid.
That was scary, wasn't it? That picture of him on his Facebook or whatever, and there's Madeleine there, reflected in his sunglasses. Very scary.
His best friend for like a decade. Yeah, so we had a falling out like 12 years ago, but he still floats in the same circles because he moved up and down the state, apparently, like doing real estate with his mom and dad. But he started working for Disney, and I know he's still working there in like September, but I don't think he's working there anymore because Disney made a statement or something about it. He was actually in the T-Rex area at Epcot, I think. I think that's where he worked. I don't know if like he's not working. I mean, he could have quit after September, but I know in September he's still working there because he had pictures on his Instagram. Because people always send me crap about him because we were best friends for so long.
This is his mug shot. His eyes are dead, aren't they? His eyes are dead. There's nothing there. You're going to hell. You're going to hell, and you know it for what you've done.
Long, and then we had a falling out because he drew a gun on me over a disagreement. So
there you go. He drew a gun on his friend over a disagreement. That's why they haven't spoken for 12 years.
So I just cut ties with him completely. But some of the stuff that kid did growing up was so crazy. So a year after we stopped being friends, one of our mutual friends was going through hard times and needed a cheap place to live. So he moved in with him. And this kid's like an IT wizard. So essentially what happened is a year after that, they had a falling out. And I convinced my buddy to tell me what happened. And apparently what had happened was he had been cleaning up the network and found a shared folder between their computers where Stephan had been secretly hiding a camera in his room and recording his girlfriend coming in and out of the shower.
Oh, geez.
So he was his roommate for quite a while, lived with him, I think it was 7 years, he said, didn't he? And then he said that the next roommate he had, it found out that he was, he'd set up a secret camera and was recording his girlfriend coming in and out of the shower. Bloody hell. Thing is, though, why was that not reported to the police? Oh, it was. Oh, that's right. They did challenge him about it, and his parents paid this guy off. I'd forgotten. Yeah, he's going to talk.
And from what I understand, there was kid stuff on there as well.
Oh.
And like I said, my buddy was going through a really hard time, like literally broke. And from what I understand, Stephan's mom paid off my buddy to not talk about it.
And so he was cleaning up the network and found images. So
supposedly his mummy paid off the guy to not say anything about it, which, Joe, I know the guy probably was desperate for money, and but there was child pee on there as well. So not only was recording his girlfriend, he of course should have reported it, because it always ends up with something like what's happened, doesn't it? You know, these predators, they sometimes start off with the voyeurism and the, you know, maybe exhibitionism or this, that and the other, and they end up with murder. So it could have maybe been nipped in the bud earlier, but I don't know.
This Stephan guy's kind of a moron, isn't he? I mean, he does.
It's something like all of us are friends. So like a lot of us old friends from high school, they've all been blowing me up for like the last 2 days about all this. And that's kind of the agreement we've all come to too. We're like, wow, he was actually really, really dumb. Like all of this is so stupid. Like it's kind of crazy because he was kind of a smart kid, but he had social issues a little bit, but I mean, he partied. I threw parties all the time, and he always came out and partied. I mean, me and him were basically attached at the hip. We lived together. We lived in the same room for like 5 years. That's why all this is so crazy to see all this going down, and just like the amount of people that are flooding me constantly about it. But his his dad is pretty normal. It always seemed like his dad didn't like the rest of the family, and his brother seemed to distance himself from I knew this kid. We were attached at the hip for a better part of a decade, and
I don't know. The moms always get the blame, don't they? They always say, "Oh, his mom, his dad was normal. It was all his mum." But
I never once saw his brother. I think his brother was military or something like that.
Well, what can you tell us about
North Carolina?
How long do you know this guy for?
I moved here from Japan when I was like 17, so probably until I was 20.
Oh, sorry, that's the wrong book.
7. We lived together for probably 6-7 of those years.
Wow. So, like, what can you tell? Like, remembering back, what do you know about him? I mean, just how was he like when you go to bars and the girls and whatever,
Yeah, all that was like, there's one time recently, and that's because she actually messaged me today. She's married with kids now and everything like that, but there was one girl who messaged me, and we didn't let him bring her to parties. He had to be 20, probably 20 at the time, and he was dating a girl who was 17.
So he was 20 and he was dating a girl that's 17, which really 3 years, you think, oh, that's not that big a difference, is it? But it feels like a big difference at that age. Like if someone who was 30 was dating someone who was 27, it wouldn't seem that bad, would it? But obviously at the time they felt that was quite a big difference. But when you listen to what he's got to say in a minute, she actually was not even 17.
And we were like, no, sorry, she's not allowed. So none of us really interacted with her, so I don't really know too much about that. But we do know he was dating a young girl.
And what did she look
like?
None of us. Was she really?
She was
young?
Asian.
Oh, she was Asian and really small then?
Yeah, she was tiny and Asian, yeah. Okay. She was literally tiny and Asian. 4'11" maybe.
Well, Well, my wife's only she's a really small. She's only like 4'5"
Yeah.
or
And this girl
7
was
or something.
too. She was super tiny. And I mean, so we thought that was a little weird, but this girl had messaged me earlier today, and she made a comment about that same thing that I'm saying now. And we were all told she was 17. She told me today on Instagram that she was 14 at the time. So that dramatically changes all of that.
Oh, wow. So the same girl that he told you was 17 was only 14?
Yeah, because she mentioned that today in the Instagram.
Wow, that's insane.
So, yeah, so actually she was only 14. So he was already starting then, wasn't he, at the age of 20? And again, even 6 years, if somebody's 40 and someone's 34, 6 years is not a big age. You know, I'm a great believer in, you know, I've been out with men that are quite a lot older than me, and I've been out with men that are younger than me, but not when I was like 20. You know, the age differences become less important as you get older, if you like, because at least they're a mature person. You know, if somebody's 30 going out with someone who's 40, whether it be man or woman, the person is 30, so 30 is mature. You know, it's not like a 16-year-old going out with someone who's 26, because the 16-year-old has not got the maturity. Do you see what I mean? So he was already liking young girls then. I wonder if he actually targeted Maddie's mum because she had a daughter.
So what was this part about you, a gun up above? I think I missed that. I was trying to.
Oh, yeah. So we were living together. I don't know, probably a couple of years into, I mean, this was at the end of our relationship. So we had a disagreement because there was a lot of issues wrong with the house. We were renting through his dad. And I didn't want to pay rent because, like, a whole bunch of these issues, AC, garage, all these things hadn't been fixed. And my car was pinned in the garage. And this went on for like months. So finally I refused to pay rent. I was like, look, you got to fix these issues. I'm like, this can't go on any longer. I'm not paying rent until you fix these issues. And his son flipped out on me because I guess his dad was giving him a hard time trying to get Stephan to give me, to give the money to pay the rent. And I was just like, no, not until you fix these problems. And Stephan flipped out the house, threw a temper tantrum. And I mean a legit, like, 3-year-old temper tantrum, laying on the ground, a grown man pounding and kicking his feet into the ground and screaming and yelling. And he does all this, proceeds to run into the room, grab his gun, and draw a gun on me.
Wow.
We get into a scuffle after that. I leave. I never come back. My dad gives me money because I'm broke. You know, I'm broke, 20-year-old at the time, like bouncing between jobs. And he gives me the money to break the lease because I told him what happened. He's like, you need to get out of there. So he gives me the money, break the lease with everything, and I left. So that was the last I talked to the kid personally.
Wow.
But then a year after that, our mutual buddy moved in, and that's when all the camera stuff and all that went down.
But like, you moved back in with him somehow again after that? Or even though
No. After the gut thing, I never talked to the kid again.
Okay.
We just float in the same circle. So like every time he hangs out with someone I know, or
yeah, that'll do it. When somebody threatens you with a gun, then you're not likely to talk to him again, are you? So anyway, yeah, he obviously is like quite immature, isn't he? But I know nothing's going to bring Madeleine back, but you only find out these things in hindsight, don't you? You know, if that person that was paid off by his mum had gone to the police, or, you know, if there was something in his background, maybe that could have saved Madeleine. Maybe, couldn't it? Maybe if Madeleine's mum, you know, if there was more known about him. But would Madeleine's mum have even known about it? You know, this goes to the crux of really what all this video is all about, is people should be careful who they let into their households, who they let into their children's space. You know, really, probably you should do some sort of background check on them, because, you know, You let these people in, and they're like just monsters. And then they're in your home. They're in your home, and they're in a privileged position with your children. They've got access to your children. You should do a background check, really, on anyone you're going to bring into your home, not only for your children, but for you, probably.
Messages. So when I know, I get all these messages on Facebook or Instagram from whoever it is.
And so, how long ago was this server moment where he was at work and?
Oh, this wasn't at work. This was at the house. My buddy was just like going through. He's like, he's a rare breed. He loves IT networking. Like, he's not good at IT networking. He loves IT networking. Like, he loves going through networks and cleaning things and making things move faster and 3D printing. He's just one of those guys. Mm-hmm. And so he was still going through files back and to and fro in the house. It was just like that, something quick and easy. We were all wired together because we're all gamers. So he had like CSAM material and his girlfriend on there, or child pornography, and his girlfriend, and my buddy, the IT guy's girlfriend, from a hidden camera in their bedroom.
Wow.
Yeah, because he also lived in the house. I don't know if I stated that earlier, but even when I lived there, like, we lived together because his dad owned the place, so it was like super cheap rent, and Windermere is an expensive town.
Well, do you have any other
Just shows you when you look at someone, you just don't know what's going on, do you, in their head? What's going on in their head. Bloody hell. Monsters in plain sight.
Times when you were hanging out with him that you were just sort of like, God, that's weird, or something like that?
I don't know if you thought about it, but he was very socially awkward other than that. I mean, I know there was a story that I was told when he first moved here by his own mom, and that was him stabbing a dude when he was like 14 years old. So I doubt anyone even knows. This happening out.
What? So he actually stabbed someone when he was 14 years old. Well, that's a bit of a red flag, isn't it? You stab someone at 14 years old. It's a little bit of a red flag. Maybe you should think there's something strange there.
California before his family even moved over here. But he stabbed, I guess, from what I understood, he was walking down the road. He was like 14 years old in California, and some guy had catcalled his girl, and he flicked the guy off. The guy was like a drunk 40-year-old man who proceeded to run across the road and beat the living tar out of him. Well, apparently Stephan at 14 years old was one of those kids who carries knives on him, and he stabbed him and missed his heart by like barely a millimeter.
Oh my God.
So almost killed him. That was when he was 14, and I know he had a whole bunch of therapy afterwards because apparently the beating kind of messed with his brain or something where he could like fly off the handle really easily. Like he would.
This guy was a walking danger sign, wasn't he? I mean, he was a walking time bomb. So at 14, he stabbed someone and just missed their heart. God, it makes you wonder how many others are out there just waiting to explode.
Just get super angry really quick. And I only saw a couple flashes of that during our relationship together. But I mean, that was like, but I will say of that entire family, dad seemed normal. Mom, on the other hand, is a whole different beast altogether. Like, she raises championship poodles. She's the meanest, rudest, loudest, most racist person I've ever, and openly racist. I mean, she doesn't hide it. Just
the mom's getting all the blame again. So she raises poodles. She's racist. She's mean. She's, I mean, maybe she is. I'm just saying it's just, the dad's like some sort of bloody saint, and the mom's this horrible person. So he's obviously the way he is because of the mom.
Obnoxious person I've ever met in my life. Like, my sister used to run a Publix down here, and she was hated by the entire staff. Like, how do you get hated by a bagger? Like, that's hard to do. Yeah. Like, but everyone knew this lady when she walked through the door. She said she was an ex-Air Force drill sergeant, a Special Forces drill sergeant, no less. I don't know. That could be true, could be false. Who knows? She was a whole different beast, and like, he was attached to her by the cord. Like, it was really weird. Their relationship was weird. Dad seemed to hate the rest of the family. Yeah, Dad was like never around.
I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing because it's probably all true. I don't know, but it's always the mother that gets the blame. But
really, Dad would pop in like on weekends here and there, and he slept in a separate bedroom, and then he would go back to doing real estate stuff and disappear for weeks on it down south. I mean, that was like all the time.
Dad probably had another woman. He probably had another woman to escape from his psychotic wife and son.
Probably wanted to get away from his kid.
I know. That's my impression I always had of him was, he doesn't like the wife and he doesn't like the kid.
He got dealt a bad hand, it sounds like.
Yeah, it seems like. And the other son, I want to keep calling him Brett for some reason, but I can't remember his name because he never came around. But I think he was military and lived in North Carolina, from what I understand. And I think when he had kids, he made an attempt, like sent them pictures of the family on Christmas kind of thing. And that was like the first thing he had done in like 15 years. So I don't know what happened in that family with that side, but I mean, what makes a son disappear from his family for 15 years by choice?
Yeah. So it sounds kind of like, I mean, this arrest warrant, he has the thing about he has all those photographs on his phone. So it sort of sounds kind of similar.
The interview where he's cracking his knuckles, he used to do that. Like, so, I mean, we were like popular party kids back in high school. At least me and my circle of friends was, and he was a part of that because he was like my friend. And so we got into a lot of fights with other kids and stuff like that. And that was just something he always did when he had this weird thing about like portraying being the most alpha guy in the room. A lot. What do they say?
He wanted to be the most alpha guy in the room. Yeah, well, you'd be an alpha guy, wouldn't you? Like murdering a 13-year-old. That really makes you a big man, doesn't it?
Bark, no bite. That was kind of him. And he used
good luck with being an alpha man when you get to prison. Good luck with being an alpha man then in prison. Let's see how you get on then.
to do that all the time. It used to drive us nuts because it pissed everyone off, where he would sit there and just start cracking his knuckles non-stop. And it would be so aggravating. That was one of the things we were talking about on Instagram today, because we had a pretty tight circle of friends, and we've all gone our separate ways, had kids, and done all that stuff. And we have an Instagram chat with a lot of us in it, and obviously he's never been in it, but a lot of us other ones are in it. And we were just all talking today about a whole bunch of stuff. We remember of him back when we were younger and being like, damn, how did we not notice? Like, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. And what about the part about him? He factory reset his phone. Like, we were reading that earlier. Like, what a dummy.
Okay, the kid's not that dumb. I could tell you that that's a 100% chance. That is a 0 possibility chance with the kid. The kid is really smart when it comes to computers. Like I said, at least when it comes to certain things, he's really smart. We're gamers. And we grew up gaming before,
he wasn't that smart really when he set his, oh God, sorry, my voice is going. When he set his phone to factory reset, he's not as clever as he thinks he is, because even I know, and I know nothing about technology, but even I know you can't, the police can get things off your phone. Even if you put it to factory reset or not, in fact, there's not much you can do to stop them getting things off your phone, as far as I know. Even I know that, and I know nothing, unless you'd have to bloody throw it in water, would you? And even then, could they? I don't know.
The internet is the way it is. So we used to go in and go into the codes and change all of our settings and do all that kind of. We were really big.
Did you play Doom now? Hey, I played the original Doom with the.
I played Doom on a floppy disk.
Remember when you had to play the phone? You had to put the phone and do the 9600 baud, and then got the 1440, and it was like, whoa, yeah, this is incredible.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, but obviously he factory reset.
For that to happen, he did it. Yeah, there was no way. That's a physical impossibility. The second so we had a thing in the chat where I saw the video where he was sitting behind the mom in the interview, And when I saw that live.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So emotionally
kind of,
affected.
yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's a lot. I haven't talked to these people in like 15 years. Half these people are messaging me.
It's like a reunion, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Right. I'm going to fast forward it a bit and just see if he's got anything else interesting.
It's kind of crazy, all of us talking about it and just like the things we remember and kind of, obviously. So, but I know his mom paid him off because my buddy was hurting and my buddy got an apartment right after. You know, he wakes up when he feels like it, does whatever work he wants to do. He's just one of those lazy kind of people when it comes to that. Just does whatever he wants.
You're talking about
Floats by
Stephan,
life.
but you're talking about him.
And daddy and mommy always bailed him out of every issue he ever had. So, they moved to the other side of the state to get away from his charges that he had when he was a kid from stabbing that guy. So they moved literally all the way across the state so no one would know him in that town anymore.
I wonder how, I'd love to know how he met Madeleine's mum. Probably online, I expect. Did he target her because she had children? Did she know about all this? You know, did Madeleine's mum? I bet she didn't know that he'd stabbed someone when he was 14, or maybe she did. I don't know. That's what I'd like to know. Did she know about all this weird history of his?
Do you think that's a true story that did you talk to your friend?
I don't know. That was his mom that told me that.
No,
so,
I'm talking about the other
this was
story.
a long time ago.
I'm talking about the other one. The one. Do you think it's a true story that the mom paid off your roommate to not share the stuff?
Yeah, that kid I actually trust a lot.
Yeah,
me and that kid have been through thick and thin. I mean, like he's like when someone used to go down with the cops and rat one or the other person out, and that kid just won't rat someone out. He's that kid.
Well, what's weird about it is the mom. That means she was aware that her son has a propensity.
Oh, the mom's definitely aware because I called her son all sorts of those names and called her out on all of it to her face. So I definitely know she knows for sure.
Oh yeah, when made you call him that to their face? Like,
okay, I don't think there's anything more that comes out of this now. But yeah, some interesting information there from his friend or his ex-friend. Just thought you'd find that interesting. So it turns out we knew he was a twonk, but now we're finding out he's even more of a twonk than we thought he was in the first place. And, it just makes you wonder, did Madeleine's mum know all these things about him? Probably not, to be honest. But anyway. Okay, so as Alana was just saying there is a little bit, it's not really much news, but there's a little bit of news in the Samantha Murphy case that we'll just have a look at before we go to bed. There's an article, well, I know some of you in Australia, you'll be just getting up, never mind going to bed. But yeah, what they're saying in the Mail Online, phone twist, the way they put phone twist in search for missing mum Samantha Murphy. Police to try a new tactic in search. And it says they're set to look at mobile phone tower data, which, I thought they were already looking at. Of course, this will be something the police have decided to sort of leak out to try and rattle someone, in my eyes. I think this is totally deliberate by the police. So we know that Samantha unfortunately went missing on February the 4th to go jogging and hasn't been seen since. Just for people who maybe don't know this story. And of course, she has not been found. And really very little information has come out, hasn't it? So the big news is that detectives will now trawl through mobile data from the Ballarat area with particular interest in phones. So these are other phones that pinged from towers covering the zone they believe Miss Murphy was in hours after her run. The phone data could potentially help detectives identify people of interest and provide fresh leads as the search for Ms. Murphy enters 30 days. However, analysis of mobile phone tower data could prove challenging due to the number of people that live in the area. So this is a very populated area. So they've got a lot to trawl through, haven't they? Phone pinging would pick up people travelling along roads in cars and even those cycling or walking on tracks. And phone metadata has been crucial to the investigation after it pinpointed a precise location in the Mount Clear area, some 7 kilometres from her home, about an hour into her jog. So remember, the initial reports claimed her phone pinged off the Bunyan Tower at 5 p.m. on the day she went missing. And this has still not been confirmed by the police. But they did release it. So it's funny, isn't it, really? Because there's only the police that could have released that information for people to talk about it. But that information has not been confirmed. And of course, that's 10 hours after she left for a run that pinged. So, oh, look, they've got the picture of Mick smiling again. They keep putting this picture up of Mick smiling and then telling us not to speculate. But they want us to speculate, really. I think they're definitely, whether it's deliberate or not, they definitely keep showing this picture of Mick smiling because they want us to think there's something in it. Now, it could be for whatever reason. I personally, you know, of course, the partner is always a suspect. This is Samantha's husband, Mick. Partner is always the first suspect, but I personally hope against hope it isn't to do with him, just for the sake of her children. Look, they've put Miss. Do you know what? The mainstream media. Look what they've done. They've put the picture of him laughing, and then underneath, Miss Murphy's husband Mick is not a suspect at this stage. You know, they're trying to make it look suspicious. Okay, anyway, that's it. That's really the only update so far. Because, of course, it's daytime there now, so more things might come out as the day progresses. And if they do, I'll let you know in the morning. Yeah. Okay, so another long stream. Gosh, my streams are... there was a lot to say there, a lot to say about Tia, and you know, we mustn't forget about Tia. And Tia was so let down, Tia Sharp, wasn't she? And it seems like Madeleine has been let down the same. You know, you can draw the comparisons between these two cases, between those two twonks. Both people of trust, you know, people trusted, people that both Tia and Madeleine should have felt safe with. Their granddad, their stepfather, or, you know, their acting granddad, their acting stepfather. These are where these, you know, people should feel safe. Children should feel safe. So the message is, man or woman, when you take on a new partner, you should check them out, definitely, and make sure, because then when you look into these people's backgrounds, you can see all the red flags, can't you? You know, there are red flags. Buddy, there's things screaming at you to say, don't take this person into your house around your children. So that's the moral of the tale.